is, fellow tree preservation workers, what is known as a Broadfork. It is a handmade tool. We bought this from one of 3 or 4 supply companies. It cost $200 with the handles and all. And we introduced this into the tools we use because we felt like we didn't want to require anyone buying into the Cheap to Keep tree and landscape protocol to be required to have a lot of expensive air tools to do aeration and decompaction. You can do aeration and decompaction manually with this tool. You could buy, in fact, 2 or 3 of them for less than $1,000 and get some of your big boys to jump up on these things and tear up the ground, because that's exactly what it does. It does not serve the function of an air tool. It destroys the soil by pulling and pushing, and we're going to demonstrate that for you in some very hard compacted clay that I'm standing on right now. Stand by, take a look. Alright, I'm burying it into the ground. I've got my partner here helping me. Okay, I'm good. Good. Alright, it's in the ground. It's the hardest ground that I've got. You can see what I'm doing. Back and forth, back and forth. I've got my own body weight on it going into it. I'm going to bury this thing all the way down. All the way down. It obviously is not as fast as an air tool, but if you don't have 10, 15, 20 grand to spend on an air tool, that is the next best thing. Let there be no doubt, this is the hardest ground I've got to demo this on. There's nothing harder anywhere. Hard packed clay. Push me forward a little bit. I got it. Thank you. You're good. Alright, we're going in. Back and forth. Back and forth. Up and down. Back and forth. Up and down. You can see I'm burying it, burying it, burying it, back and forth, up and down, back and forth. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it. And the reason this is not preferred as opposed to an air tool is because when I lift, you can see all the ground, see it coming up, see it cracking. Now at some point you could stop right there and you would have enough entry for water and biostimulants if we didn't do anything else. But if when lifting this you saw a lot of interfacing root structure, you'd want to stop and not tear them up. And that's the advantage of the air tools over a Broadfork, but this is cheaper, it's manual, and it'll help get you started with a complete process of aeration, decompaction, topsoil formation, biostimulation, the whole process without having to spend a lot of money. As you can see here, I've got nothing but hard packed clay. That's all I've got. And I want to dig it up and decompact it. There's no roots there. Back and forth, up and down, back and forth, up and down. Maximum penetration in here. All right. And then I'm going to pull it up. You see how it cracks, decompacts. Then we're going to back it off, hit it a couple, 2 or 3 times with this, and you have a properly aerated, disturbed surface. All right, I'm a little bit out of breath. This obviously takes a lot more physical energy to complete this action than I would be if I was handling an air tool. and endurance would be a factor in going manual versus air tillage. But once again, this gives you conceivably the ability, if you had a critical root zone that was covered by a layer of field clay that was at least the depth of these tines right here, then you could decompact that with very little equipment and machinery on the job. You could also do it very, very close to cars. For example, if it was islands in a parking lot where you couldn't blast dirt all over the place under pressure. In other words, it has a use. And we have in the past, when we have tightly compacted red clay that does not admit any air at all and we can't decompact it, we'll hit it with the Broadfork first, crack it, and then hit it with the air tool, and I guarantee you we've got a perfectly tilled surface at that point that will admit root growth into it without any opposition that it would normally have if it was as tightly compacted as the red clay I just described to you, or what I just showed you.